Supreme Chancellor Obi-Wan Kenobi by Stone Freak. Chapter 79. Dooku is displeased. Dooku snarls at the latest news. Slowly but surely, his hold of the separatist worlds is slipping. Many have already left, and once the Republic proved that they would be reasonable during peace talks, there is no doubt in Dooku's mind that is entirely because of Kenobi. Even more saw it as their chance to return to an improved Republic. The winds are shifting, the trajectory of the corrupt Republic is changing, unjust laws are being brought back to the Senate floor and retracted. Somehow, Obi-Wan Kenobi has managed to turn the Republic from a cesspool of corruption to a place that is slowly but surely starting to try and drag itself out of the mud. It's not there yet, not nearly. But Dooku can see it happening. And so can the separatist worlds under his rule. They see the change happening. They see the possibility of returning to what was once a stable, if corrupt government that was without war and is now starting to fix itself. They can almost taste the possibility of return, of being part of that change. And they want to. Many, many worlds want to, because of Kenobi, because of the changes already taking place in the Republic, especially now that corrupt senators of the Republic are starting to face the proper consequences of their actions. It was so easy before to look at the terrible things plaguing the galaxy and point the finger at a scapegoat. It was them Jedi, they're the problem. If the Jedi were not so complacent, if Master Yoda was not so old, they would do what was needed to root out slavery in the galaxy. It used to be so easy to twist people's opinions to such obvious falsehoods by hiding behind real issues, but pointing at the wrong source. The Jedi have never had the capability to root out slavery. They do not have the numbers or the power to do it themselves. Even if they were to only root it out in hot space, they'd still need a whole army to do it, and then somehow manage to instill a stable governance in the old system's place, and the Republic has never cared what happens outside its borders. Why would the Republic go to war with the Hutts over slavery when that slavery benefits many of the most powerful senators in it? And yet now, these same corrupt senators are facing consequences for their actions, for their greed and corruption. It is something Dooku could only have dreamed of, something he never thought he'd see before the end of his life. There are whispers in the Separatist Senate about the Confederacy slowly losing ground to the Republic, of the Jedi's tireless attempts and returning order to the galaxy. That story slowly starting to overshadow the stories of the Jedi's warmongering and the clone troopers' valiance against impossible odds, and Chancellor Kenobi's tireless efforts to start peace talks. It's frustrating to realize how much of the separatist generals depended so much on the intel Dooku gave them, intel coming directly from Sidious. Without Sidious, without that additional information, the Jedi are starting to prove themselves superior. There are other leaks, of course there are. The banking clan and the Trade Federation are doing very well in this war economy, and Dooku has no illusions regarding their greed and wishes of prolonging this war. They may pretend to be on the Republic side, but, well, corporations are always going to be looking towards their bottom line. Giving them equal presentation in the Senate is, and always has been, madness. But even so, the Jedi are gaining ground. They are raised as peacekeepers, but peacekeeper means more than simply trained diplomat, especially when it comes to the Jedi. He joined the Sith to root out the corruption in the galaxy and show the Jedi that they've lost their way, gotten complacent. He fell to purge the old and pave way for something new and healthy to grow in its stead, like burning down and ripping up and replanting a garden overrun with weeds and plagued by infection. He fell because he knew what needed to be done, and he knew it was the only way to ensure it would be done. He would remake the galaxy in his image, purging the corruption and bringing out something stronger from it. Dooku was certain of his path and his choices. Now, however, Dooku sees Kenobi's work and he wonders. A shift in the Force. Dooku frowns and shakes his head. No such thing. Merely a flight of fancy. Besides, it's not as if Kenobi would ever have gotten the chance to do any of this if Dooku hadn't fallen in the first place, if the war had never happened. Dooku is not wrong. He cannot be. He breathes deeply and turns back to the list of potential troublemaking planets. He cannot stay idle, cannot do nothing, but he also cannot do anything before the star systems show their hands. Too strong preventative action, and the entire Confederacy may slip through his fingers. And yet, despite his efforts, they all seem to be for naught. Slowly but surely, his carefully laid plans are failing. Slowly but surely, it's all falling apart. This must be what Sidious feels, no doubt, this rage of frustration with no proper outlet. And yet, a small part of him, a part he thought he'd destroyed years ago, is glad. There's joy and fierce pride in watching your Padawan's legacy reach such tremendous heights. Oh, if only Qui-Gon could have been here to see it. He reaches for the Force, wants to draw it in to bolster his hate and anger. He cannot let these soft feelings stay. It's not proper or useful for a Sith. Calm nostalgia is nothing compared to burning passion and ocean-deep hatred in terms of strength. He reaches to the Force to amplify his feelings, start a loop of rage ever increasing. Instead, he touches warmth. The gentle kind of warmth of the early spring sun on Sereno, not the heat that comes from extreme cold. It was a warmth he thought he'd forgotten the feel of, as it is far from what the dark side usually feels like. It's breathtaking. For the briefest of moments, Dooku finds himself thrown back in time, standing on a lush plain of Sereno with his still braid-wearing Padawan at his side. He remembers showing the Coruscant-born young Jedi his master's home planet. He remembers the awe on Qui-Gon's face, the way he'd lain down on the ground and closed his eyes, almost overwhelmed with the feel of so much life. For the briefest of moments, Dooku remembers peaceful days long gone and the love of a child still alive. One now ripped from his side. He's warm, but only briefly. The joy of the vision is soon overtaken by the icy chill of grief and devastation. Qui-Gon's memory is ripped from him once more, and Dooku finds himself alone in his castle. He grits his teeth and clenches his fist. His nostrils flare. They will all pay, every single one of them, if he must rip them asunder with his bare hands. Once more, Yon Dooku steps aside, and Darth Tyrannus takes his place. There will be no mercy.